In early 2026, Iran erupts in its most significant and widespread uprising in years, as frustration and anger spill onto the streets in a wave of unrest not seen in a generation. The immediate spark is the catastrophic collapse of the rial, now trading at over 1.4 million to a single US dollar, wiping out savings and plunging millions into sudden poverty. Hyperinflation devastates daily life, making even basic essentials like bread and medicine unaffordable for ordinary families, and fueling mass protests born from deep economic despair and hopelessness. But as the crisis deepens, anger quickly shifts from economic grievances to open calls for political change, with chants and banners now targeting the very foundations of the Islamic Republic itself. The movement unites students, merchants, laborers, and the middle class, groups that once stood apart, signaling a deep erosion of the regime's traditional support base and a rare sense of national solidarity. Slogans like "Death to Khamenei" cross red lines never breached before, reflecting a total rejection of the supreme leader's authority and a willingness to challenge the core of the regime. This is no longer just about bread or jobs, it's about demanding a new system, dignity, and a future free from decades of repression and fear. Iran's economic crisis has ignited a nationwide call for fundamental change, shaking the very core of the Islamic Republic and setting the stage for an uncertain future. Protests erupted in Tehran and quickly spread like wildfire, igniting a wave of unrest that swept across the nation. Soon, the movement reached Isfahan, Mashhad, and Tabriz, transforming isolated anger into a truly national uprising that united cities and towns across Iran. Demonstrators blocked major roads, set state symbols ablaze, and disabled surveillance cameras, using bold and strategic acts of defiance to challenge the regime's control. Young Iranians tore down images of the supreme leader, while monarchist slogans appeared as graffiti in cities that once seemed loyal, signaling a dramatic shift in public sentiment. Protesters systematically targeted government buildings and the infrastructure of repression, carving out brief, but powerful pockets of freedom in the heart of the unrest. Every act of resistance came with immense risk, arrest, violence, or even death, yet the movement endured, adapting and evolving in the face of the regime's escalating crackdown. The protests brought together people from all walks of life, young and old, men and women, students and workers, united in their rejection of the status quo and their demand for irreversible change. The message resounded in every chant and sign. Iranians are no longer willing to accept the future imposed by the Islamic Republic, and their determination is unmistakable. Across the country, the call for freedom grows louder and more urgent, echoing through the streets despite the mounting risks and relentless threats from authorities. The regime responds with overwhelming force, live ammunition, mass arrests, and a campaign of terror. Rights groups estimate hundreds, possibly thousands, killed in days. Hospitals and morgues are overwhelmed. A near-total internet blackout isolates 85 million Iranians, silencing protest coordination and evidence of atrocities. The government floods state media with propaganda, painting protesters as terrorists manipulated by foreign enemies. This digital and physical siege is designed to crush dissent and control the narrative. The true scale of the crackdown remains hidden, but the brutality is unmistakable. Iran's rulers are waging war on their own people to maintain power. Iran's leaders dismiss protesters as foreign agents, vowing to confront sabotage with uncompromising force. The regime threatens arrested demonstrators with charges of enmity against God, a crime punishable by death. Parliament and the IRGC echo hardline rhetoric, promising severe punishment and linking unrest to foreign plots. State media claims hundreds of terrorists have been detained, dehumanizing the movement. The regime frames the crisis as a security threat, not a political problem, signaling zero tolerance for dissent. The fate of those arrested grows ever more perilous as the state doubles down on repression. The world responds with condemnation. UN, UK, France, Germany, and the EU demand restraint and restoration of communications. The US takes a harder line. President Trump warns Tehran that US forces are locked and loaded if violence continues. Secretary of State Marco Rubio voices strong support for protesters, signaling solidarity and warning of consequences. The crisis prompts major airlines to suspend flights to Iran, reflecting the escalating danger. International pressure mounts, but Iran remains defiant, risking further isolation. The threat of military miscalculation looms, raising fears of a wider regional conflict. The world watches, uncertain if pressure will temper the crackdown or provoke even greater violence. Amid chaos and mounting unrest, protesters rally around pre-1979 symbols like the lion and sun flag, boldly rejecting the Islamic Republic's identity and reclaiming a sense of national pride. These emblems, once banned, now serve as powerful statements of defiance, uniting demonstrators across generations and backgrounds. Exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, a symbol of the old monarchy, urges continued resistance and calls for security forces to join the people. His appeals echo through social media and satellite broadcasts, inspiring hope among many who long for change. Monarchist slogans resurface in the streets, reflecting deep disillusionment with the current regime and a yearning for a different future. For some, the monarchy represents stability and lost freedoms. The uprising marks an existential crisis for the theocracy. Its power and legitimacy are under unprecedented threat. Violent clashes between protesters and security forces have become a daily reality, shaking the foundations of the state. Analysts warn this could be the regime's endgame, as its grip on power weakens and cracks appear in its authority. International observers watch closely, aware that the outcome could reshape the region. Iran stands at a crossroads, facing the stark choice between brutal repression or the possibility of political collapse. The streets are tense, and fear mingles with hope, as each day brings new uncertainty. The risk of regional conflict remains high, with neighboring countries watching events unfold. But one thing is clear: the country has been irrevocably changed, and the old certainties have vanished. Iranians have shown they are willing to die for freedom, the regime to kill to keep power. The cost of this struggle is measured in lives lost and families shattered. The future is uncertain, but the old order is shaken. As night falls over Tehran, the world waits to see what new dawn will emerge from the turmoil.